Okay. So it's the self is distinct from the five sheaths. The self is the witness of the three states of experience. And the self is changeless. And it does not change, it's not marked, it's not stained, it's untainted by anything that apparently is projected over it, it's superimposed on it. It appears that the self is in contact with everything. It appears that the self, as we say, is pervading, therefore, it is mixed up with everything. But it's not really that way. It's just for lack of words to describe these two orders of reality, as if such as pervading mithya. But none of that really happens because mithya is as good as non-existing. That's the ultimate truth. But anyhow, it is self-luminous, as we have understood. It's partless whole. There is nothing other to be divided and seen and experienced. No room for experiences in the self. It's distinct from the five koshas and the witness of everything, and does not change, and it's untainted by anything that it is apparently in contact with. The verse begins with a bold assertion that says that the self-knowledge is available to anyone able to discriminate the self from the not-self. This means that you and I, by applying this process, applying the proper means, can know we are purely limitless. That's nice, huh? That's what it says. It's available to everyone and anyone with a discriminating mind. Self-knowledge, however, is not of the same order of objective knowledge, because the self is not an object, but it's rather the realization of our true nature / identity, the subject conscious principle, which is not an object of knowledge, which is the absolute subject, you could say. It's therefore not of the same order of mithya, of the objects of mithya, but it's rather the realization of our identity. Whenever the word knowledge is used in connection with the self, this distinction should be born in the mind. So what distinction? The distinction is that the self is not of the same nature of the objects that appear within the self. This consciousness, this awareness is not of the same nature of the object that appear, which are revealed by this consciousness. The same way that the light belongs to a different nature from the hand that it illumines, because the mind has no dependence on the hand, It's an independent, free principle that reflects the hand, but it belongs to a different order, so to speak. It does not change with the hand. Does the hand change with the light? No. Does the light change with contact with the hand? No. Why? Because it's like the two states, the sleep and the awakened state. So when we are sleeping, and then whatever is happening in the sleep state is not really impacting what's happening in the awakened state. It says, okay. I mean, we cannot really say that, because if we live a beautiful life, it does impact our dreams. So, and then we could say, oh yes, I'm having so much punya that now I'm having sweet dreams. So there is a certain impact there. But it's rather the realization of our identity. Whenever the word knowledge is used in connection with the self, this distinction should be borne in mind. Vedanta has been called the universal religion, although religion is a misleading term, as it implies dogmatic authority. So Vedanta does not like to impose anything on anyone. Religions, people usually try to convert others, and in Vedanta we don't try to convert anybody. We just we just allow people to take their time until they get really worn out and tired of chasing objects and so on. And then a day comes that they come to Vedanta. So it's not really a religion in any sense, and it's not dogmatic because Vedanta encourages everybody to question and to discriminate, and to doubt the teachings until the teaching become a doubtless understanding, a doubtless knowledge, So Vedanta is not a faith in that sense, but it's a means of knowledge suitable for export from its native culture. This is very nice, huh? I like it. Huh?
Thank goodness.
Thanks goodness, yeah. And this is very nice. So Ramji did a great job to export it and bring it to the West. And I was glad when I heard Paramarthananda also saying that that this knowledge can be taken from its environment. And he said, in fact, in India, even in India itself, Vedanta is taken to every corner of India in their own language, in their own local culture. They have, Vedanta ashrams teaching Vedanta. Some people teaching Vedanta in their own language. So therefore, it can be exported. The Upanishads occur at the end of the Vedas. Four-length collections, principally concerned with ritual worship. It has been usual for Vedanta to be present in the context of the Vedas. That's why we have Karma Yoga as well. It's my understanding is the Vedanta is not entirely present in the context of the Vedas because it jumps into Dharma and Moksha, Karma, Dharma, and Moksha. It jumps those stage in which people want to produce punya by pleasing the gods, and invoking the gods and developing this relationship. I mean, it's very important that we understand that there is such a thing as God, there is such a thing as Ishvara. If we live without understanding there is a higher power, there is this intelligent order which is designed, sustained, and its very fabric is knowledge, intelligence and so on, etc. If we don't bring God into the equation, I mean, we usually the ego remains very arrogant because it does not understand the creator, and then it has more difficult to understand the Jnana Yoga of Vedanta. So to come to Vedanta, we need to somehow integrate God into our lives, but we don't go through those infantile relationships with God like people do in the Vedic culture. People who want only things or accomplish things in life, and again they go to the gods for asking this, asking this, asking this, asking that. So when we come to Vedanta, we have a relationship with God, but our relationship is, oh Lord, please give me clarity of the mind, give me clarity, give me purity of heart, and so on. So it's a different kind of relationship, and we understand the laws, and we understand the proper position of the jiva in relation to Ishvara and the field. So, but in general, it's Vedanta is present in the context of the Vedic culture. One time I heard, oh, Mark is entering only now. He went out. And one time I heard Ramji saying something nice. He was saying like that the ashram of Dayananda, he knows because he has sent many people to those ashrams of Dayananda for 3 months, for 3 years, whatever program they went for. And one time Ramji said something that I found very, very insightful. He said, so the thing with the Vedanta ashram, the ashrams of Dayananda, is that they seem to be more interest in propagating the culture than the teachings of Vedanta, you know, because they want to keep this culture alive, and then they teach a lot of things that are not really the core of Vedanta, but they want people to learn Sanskrit, learn this and that, and you know. So, and that there is a nice insight there, you know, because Shine World, our Sampradaya is different in the sense that Ramji, due to his own karma, he was assigned to go around the West, around the world, just presenting this pure knowledge, regardless of the local culture and regardless of people's stage of development, you know. And somehow it was a very great contribution. Has been a very great contribution, you know. So Vedanta being presented outside of the context of the Vedic culture, different societies, and outside of those, free already from all those doing of all those rituals and a lot of those meditations and yogas that people do in these ashrams of Dayananda and so on. But not everyone with a hunger for truth has an equal appetite for Vedic ritual. So it means to say, it usually is present within the culture of Vedic culture, but you know, we have to be careful that a lot of people do not want to understand all those symbolisms and memorize some Sanskrit words. You know, we don't have much of a taste for that, and we should not be deprived of the possibility, opportunity to learn the essence of the Upanishads. So otherwise, everybody has to go through the process of dressing a certain way, you know, and then learning certain language, certain expressions, and so on. So, this is another problem with Vedanta. This is another problem with Ishwara Brazil. You won't believe it. You come here, you buy a number, and then it's all day long they call you to try to advertise and marketing and this and that, one after the other. I don't think it happens in the USA anymore, huh? Does it happen there?
There's a bit of that going on. You can get a blocker app, but they are not 100% either. But used to be that the cell phones, nobody called you.
Yeah, but here, if you have a cell phone, you cannot use the cell phone because you never know when somebody is really calling you. So the bottom line is that they have telephone to use WhatsApp. So people here now have to talk only WhatsApp because 9% or 99% of the time is advertisement. So who wants to keep answering advertisement or marketing calls? But anyhow, I don't like to complain about Ishwara Brazil because Ishwara is Ishwara. One time I told my students here, very honest, one of these moments that I was seeing the downside of Brazil, and I talk about Ishwara Brazil is like Jesus, like that, and then I said, so I know, I mean, it's all karma, I mean, it's Papa Karma to be born in Brazil, and then I said, oops, I should have said that to them. So it has been usual for Vedanta to be present in the context of the Vedas, but not everybody is into that, you know, and Vedanta needs to be aligned to it. So in fact, there are many statements in the Upanishad which dismiss ritual worships as meaningless for one who knows the self. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, there are some statements from Lord Krishna that say, so for the wise who knows the self, you know, rituals are like a small, I would say, a little bit of water on your yacht, you know, in a land that is completely flooded by a monsoon or or by a tsunami, you know. So rituals are just something that we know to be a means, but not an end, you know. It's a initial steps in the life of an individual, and this relationship with God to gain things. In fact, there are many statements that presents the worship, ritual worships as meaningless. Such worship generally takes the form of a prayer, a petition. It's a kind of spiritual quid pro quo, or bargain, in which one offers ritual obeisance to a deity in return for favor. And there are all kinds of deities according to our desires. It's Jiva's desires projects different deities, and this deity is good for giving a husband, this is good for giving a child, this is good prosperity, this is for health, and this is for knowledge. So, and then people just according to our desires, we have infinite numbers of gods. So it's okay, but it's a very kind of childish relationship with God, you know. But so as Karma Yogis, we have a much more mature and sophisticated relationship with Ishvara, as we know. So, as the self needs nothing, it has no use for this sort of prayer. So, before we really understand we are the self, we need to pass by the Karma Dharma yoga of Vedanta, and then as a Karma Yogi, we are not there to break, you know, to kind of be bothering Ishvara, asking this, asking that. So we understand that as a Karma Yoga, I'm not here to ask, I'm here to offer. Offer is a totally different attitude, you know. So even as a Karma Yogi, we are not there to bother Ishvara asking things, but we are just, okay, we can ask a little bit, so please, you know, Shanti, 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 so helps me by removing the obstacles that could, make it difficult, the assimilation and of these teachings and so on, or help my mind to remain clear and sattvic, and make sure that I'm going to do a retreat this weekend or a nice seminar with Ramji, so make sure that there is no fire coming too close that could prevent me from traveling, or there is no flood or anything, you know. I mean, there are all this cosmic force that could be an impediment as well. There are many factors. So we can ask a little hand to Ishvara, but not like, oh, give me this, give me that, give me this. So we don't do that as Karma Yogis. Vedanta, moreover, stands on its own. It is changeless as the self. Oh, how nice it is one. The Upanishads is a changeless principle as the self. It comes from the self, it's revealed by the self through Ishvara, through the Rish, for all jivas. And since it comes from the self, it's changeless. You know? It's a body of knowledge that is built into the creation. It comes with the creation. The creation comes, it unfolds itself, and then once the human jivas, the intelligent jivas, or the jivas with discrimination come into the picture, and then immediately this knowledge, poof, which is part of the creation, it just presents itself. And then it remains the same way that the gravity appeared in this solar system now, in our planet. The gravity appeared here and never changed. You know? So this knowledge of the self is built into the knowledge of the creation. The spiritual knowledge, as all the physical laws and all other laws and so on, the knowledge that holds this universe, it's the spiritual level, this knowledge appears, and it remains unchanging. Vedanta can stand on its own. It is changeless as the self, which is untainted by anything that comes in contact with, including any cultural aggression. So cultures cannot change. Now we brought it to the USA, Ranji brought to the USA. So let's change it a little bit so that the American people, they are very spoiled, so you cannot tell everything up front to them, and you cannot be really clear and transparent because they are going to get upset. Let's change, let's modify it so that people can take it more easily. Say, no, we don't do that. Vedanta does not do that. I mean, Vivekananda did that more than 100 years ago. He brought Vedanta to the USA, and he changed it. Or maybe that was the way he learned Vedanta from his guru, no, from Krishna. So maybe he learned it that way, dividing Vedanta in 4 parts. All these 4 parts can take us to moksha, the parts of action, and then the parts of meditation, the parts of devotion, the parts of knowledge. So, no, Vedanta, the traditional Vedanta, it survives cultural difference because it can be explored as it is. But the communication of its teaching is necessary condition by cultural circumstance, of course. So, I mean, in India, anybody who gets to know Vedanta in India from a Swami, living, as a sannyasi, speaking a certain language with a lot of Sanskrit here and there, and comes to the West and encounters Ramji teaching Vedanta, giving the finger to Ishwar and this and that. So one gets really like, oh my God, is it Vedanta? Yes, it is Vedanta. It's just, it has adapted to the redneck of Montana, but it's the Vedanta is the same. It's just the way Ramji presents it is unique, like the way anybody presents it. The language is unique to the Jiva, but the teaching itself is the same. Well, don't you agree? Teaching is the same. I know because I have been listening to Paramarthananda for a long time now, and the teaching is the same basically. I just enjoy to listen to Paramarthananda somehow because I can pick up different examples and different jokes. Otherwise, I have to all the time be telling the same jokes from my own origination, and the ones that around you, I can pick up some different examples and jokes. That's nice to make it a little bit more colorful. But the teaching is the same. So the communication of its teachings is necessary conditioned by cultural circumstances which are subject to change. And Paramarthananda, he brings not only different samples and examples, he creates some tools within the Vedanta, he brings some new teachings, but he has the authority and the brilliance to bring about different teachings, within Vedanta, totally, and he just invents a little bit like that, but it's totally, within the logic of Vedanta. But one has to have the confidence to play with it. While a more congenial atmosphere for the seeker of self-knowledge may have been provided by the age of the Vedas than it's offered in modern Western technocracy. But most men, at most times, are, despite cultural difference, devoted to the acquisition of wealth and pleasure, with all the misery attendant upon this pursuit. So no matter which culture we relate to, everybody is running about what? Security, pleasures, fame, money, properties, and then Dharma later on, self-improvement, spiritual knowledge, psychological understanding. This is the same. The Jiva is a Jiva. And samsara is samsara. All jivas suffer of samsara. It may change a little bit the culture, but everybody is being victim of this universal ignorance imposed by Maya, and then we are conditioned to chase things like that. And then we suffer the misery of samsara because we believe on our desires. We believe that those objects of desire can complete us. This is why Vedanta is perennially true and universally applicable. And it's one size fit all, and one size fit all cultures. Ranji likes to say, one size fit all. I did a seminar here in Brazil, and because I could help some people here and there, more or less, on their personal question, someone came to me and said, "Oh, how nice, the way you teach, because you can go in every individual person and teach them uniquely." I say, no, we don't do that. It's one size fits all. If it's a bit loose for you, get over it. If it's a bit tight, get over it. It's one thing for everyone. You're just projecting that that is going to adapt or adjust for you. No, it's just like that. This is why Vedanta is perennially true and universally applicable. This commentary verse is an attempt to show the relevance of this text to those in the West and elsewhere who have an intense desire to know the truth. Oh, how nice, huh? Anybody with discrimination can know the self because the self is self-evident, self-shining, and so on. And it does not change to experience. So therefore, this commentary is an attempt to show the relevance of this text to those in the West, this commentary in reference to this verse. The words of Shankara are as relevant in the 21st century as they were in the 18th century. One need neither be a Brahmin nor a scholar of Sanskrit to learn how to discriminate the real from the apparently real, although it's natural to feel grateful to those who have so lovely preserved and transmitted this means of knowledge through this Vedic culture. Yeah. It's kept, it's maintained, it's preserved in the Vedic culture, and let's hope it's going to keep that way. Having offered initial, it's almost finishing. Having offered initial words of encouragement, the teacher in the above verse then summarized all that has been said thus far about the self. It was a summary. It was nothing new. We were looking to that through the analysis of the koshas, and then now it was a summary in this verse. Yeah. These descriptions are mostly negations. The 5 sheaths are not the self, the 3 states are not the self, because they are known by the self. That the self has no parts, this is unaffected by any experience, any association. In fact, the self is associationless, attributeless and associationless. It seems that the self is association with the koshas, associated with 3 bodies, but no. The koshas, they are mere appearance. They are not really the self. It's just that the nature of the self is to activate this body-mind complex, but it does not really get associated in the sense. When we associate to something or someone, immediately we are hooked, we are connected, we are attached, and there is a change, and one part is impacted. The self does not associate at all. But the verse offers a positive description. It says that the self is self-luminous, its own light as well as the light that makes all that we see intelligible. It is, as the Kena Upanishad says, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear. So the tongue of the tongue, the nose of the nose. The role of the self in making all things intelligible may be better illustrated through a consideration of perceptions in the dream state. We see things in dreams. What is the instrument of vision? The eyes are closed. There is no external light source. So the room is very dark. And then there is light in the dream state, but the light does not leak into the dark room. So what is the instrumental vision? The eyes are closed. There is no light in the dark room. Therefore, the eyes, even if it's open, you're sleeping with open eyes, you cannot see anything. There is no external. If we answer it is the mind, then we are compelled to define the mind as self-luminous. Oh, nice, huh? Often we say that. We say that it's the mind projects the dream state. Huh? But what is the mind of the mind? What is the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the nose of the nose? Fundamentally, there is only one source of projection, one source of light, one source of... So there is no external light source. If you say it's the mind, then we are compelled to define the mind as self-luminous. That's brilliant, nice logic. But the mind is nothing more than a series of thoughts. So can a thought light up another thought? Oh, we have all these thoughts, and then it becomes luminous, and then my dream universe, world is projected. So the thoughts, they are not these little lights that somehow can project all the dream object. No. Can a thought light up another thought? No. To entertain such a possibility places us at the beginning of an infinite regression again. It is also a fact that we can have only one thought at a time, and that all thoughts are the same nature. It's just matter, inert matter. There is no illuminating master thought. Oh, you say it's the I thought. No, the I thought itself is matter. Still, there must be something that lights up the mind and the intellect, something that's not a thought, but that makes thoughts intelligible. Can you say that?
Intelligible.
Intelligible.
Yeah.
Okay, intelligible. This we call the self, the light of the mind, the light of pure awareness, the light that shines in the intellect, shine in every thought, it shine in the kosher, it shine in the subtle body in general. And then we cannot say that the self shines in the mind. We cannot say that the self shines in the physical body, but the self shines in the subtle body, and the shine somehow it pervades and animates the physical body, so that the physical body dances with the strings of its vasanas, or Ishvara. This we call the self, the light of pure awareness, in which all thoughts appear. The verse may be intended as an encouragement, but the seeker, whose discrimination is still a work in progress, appears dismayed, then perhaps a little frightened by the negation of all that until now was defined as his world, my experience, my life history, and so on. The following verse gives voice to this misgiving and the dread. Oh, I love Vedanta. I mean, it's so elegant, it's so beautiful. You see how these commentaries end? The verse may be intended as an encouragement, but the seeker, whose discrimination is still a work in progress, appears dismayed and perhaps a little frightened by the negation of all that until now has defined his very identity, his world. The following verse gives voice to this misgiving and address it. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, next week we begin from the verse 62. And again, we're going to have this class of today in 2 pieces. Anyhow, so I put it up there, and there are basically no viewers, but feel free to look into it if you feel inclined. I just keep putting everything there in the mind of Ishvara. If one day it may serve and benefit someone, so be it. Otherwise, why not, right? Cloud told me, oh, press the button, and that's enough to press the button and upload it. Okay, my dear friends. So we meet again this coming Thursday. Thank you for being present. Our group seems to have shrank a little bit, but anyhow, we enjoy it, right?
We do.
So, okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you all. See you next time. Namaste. Bye-bye. Arrivederci. Love you.
But Arlindo, what are you doing with Ramji this weekend?
Huh?
What did you say you were doing with Ramji this weekend?
No, I did, for the past 8 days, I did a webinar here in Brazil.
Oh.
I'm in São Paulo. There is a group of people, they have their own Sangha here. They found me these videos, they don't find much listeners or viewers in the USA, but my videos in Portuguese language, they are very popular here. And then lately people are discovering me and they keep me pulling me to Brazil, and I say, oh no, Ishvara, Brazil, no, Brazil, no, Brazil, and they keep pushing me.
Not in control.
Okay. See
Brilliant.
you on Thursday. Much love.
Thanks, Arlindo.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, Ma. Ciao, Claudio. Bye-bye.